Today is February 6th. Welcome to Big Book Daily. My name is Rob. I am an alcoholic. It is an honor, thrill, and joy to be here with you today as we journey through the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous and the 12 Steps and 12 Traditions. Today we are going to be finishing Chapter 9, The Family Afterward, page 135, and beginning Chapter 10, Two Employers, page 136. We'll also be traveling through Chapter 6 of the 12 and 12, Step 6. We're going to read the first half of page 64 today. So with all that, let's get to the big book. So yesterday on page 134, we discussed that, it takes time for an alcoholic to sometimes earn back the forgiveness and the affection of family. And it says here on the bottom of 134, in time they will see that he is a new man, and in their own way they will let him know it. So today we're going to be building on that as we finish up the family afterward. 135. Whether the family goes on a spiritual basis or not, the alcoholic member has to if he would recover. The others must be convinced of his new status beyond the shadow of a doubt. Seeing is believing to most families who have lived with a drinker. Here is the case in point. One of our friends is a heavy smoker and a coffee drinker. There was no doubt that he overindulged. Seeing this and meaning to be helpful, his wife commenced to admonish him about it. He admitted he was overdoing these things, but frankly said that he was not ready to stop. His wife is one of those persons who really feels that there is something rather sinful about these commodities. So she nagged, and her intolerance finally threw him into a fit of anger, and he got drunk. Of course, our friend was wrong. Dead wrong. He had to painfully admit that and mend his spiritual fences. Though he is now a most effective member of Alcoholics Anonymous, he still smokes and drinks coffee. But neither his wife nor anyone else stands in judgment. She sees that she was wrong to make a burning issue out of such a matter, when his more serious ailments were being rapidly cured. We have three little mottos which are apropos. Here they are. First things first. Live and let live. Easy does it. Alright, my friends, that is it for Chapter 9. Now we're going to begin Chapter 10, Two Employers. We will be reading page 136 today. Among many employers nowadays, we think of one member who has spent much of his life in the world of big business. He has hired and fired hundreds of men. He knows the alcoholic as the employer sees him. His present views ought to prove exceptionally useful to businessmen everywhere. But let him tell you. I was at one time assistant manager of a corporation department, employing 6,600 men. One day, my secretary came in, saying that Mr. B insisted on speaking with me. I told her to say that I was not interested. I had warned him several times that he had but one more chance. Not long afterward, he had called me from Hartford on 2 successive days, so drunk that he could hardly speak. I told him he was through. Finally and forever. My secretary returned to say that it was not Mr. B on the phone. It was Mr. B's brother, and he wished to give me a message. I still expected a plea for clemency, but these words came through the receiver. I just wanted to tell you that Paul jumped from a hotel window in Hartford last Saturday. He left us a note saying that you were the best boss he ever had, and that you were not to blame in any way. Alright guys, so that's all we're going to be reading in the big book today. Definitely want to come back to this in just a second. Alright my friends, now we're going to journey through the 12 and 12, and we have been covering step 6. We're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. And in yesterday's episode, the last paragraph we read was somebody's testimony, and the line here says, "But when I became willing to clean house and then asked for a higher power, God as I understood him, to give me release, my obsession to drink vanished. It was lifted right out of me." So now we'll be reading the first half of page 64. In AA meetings all over the world, statements just like this are heard daily. It is plain for everybody to see that each sober AA member has been granted a release from this very obstinate and potentially fatal obsession. So, in a very complete and literal way, all AAs have become entirely ready to have God remove the mania for alcohol from their lives. And God has proceeded to do exactly that. Having been granted a perfect release from alcoholism, why then shouldn't we be able to achieve by the same means a perfect release from every other difficulty or defect? This is a riddle of our existence, the full answer to which may be only in the mind of God. Nevertheless, at least a part of the answer to it is apparent to us. All right, that's going to conclude our reading today. Going back to the testimony from yesterday, I've heard a lot of friends in recovery say that they were able to pray in one instance, a single instance, and God removed the obsession of drinking from them, just lifted it right from them. I've heard of friends that had 30 years of sobriety that can still talk about the one day that it happened. And it just blows my mind how everybody's testimony is going to be a little different. Everybody's God story is a little different. Me, it was kind of a longer process, more of a spiritual awakening, but that a lot of times it's a spiritual experience for many men. It was for Bill W., as a matter of fact. So it's kind of crazy how that works and how different we all are, and our stories are all different, which is pretty darn cool. Definitely breaks up the monotony of life. And going back to the big book real quick on chapter 10 to employers, man, that is a heartbreaking scene about Mr. B and what happened to him. And it just reminds me that this is a serious disease, and it is cunning, baffling, and powerful. And it is a matter of life and death for many people. I have seen alcohol destroy so many lives. It was destroying my own, obviously. And I've known friends who they went back out and they had to do some more field experience. And they tell me every single time that it was way worse than the time before, if they ever come back. That's another thing. I've known some that never come back, and it just, I hope they're okay, and I pray that they're okay. But it's tough. It's tough to watch that, and people are dying of alcoholism every day. So, that's a great reminder to me that this is a matter of life and death. And I'm just grateful today to be sober. It is a miracle. At the very least, I heard this from a friend one time. At the very least, say if nothing else went right today, if I can answer that I was sober today, it was a good day. That is a win. And I praise God for that. I absolutely praise God for that. And finally, the mottos. I've heard these many times. First things first. I love that because that reminds me of my priorities. Keeping first things first. Live and let live. That reminds me of the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference just for today. There's a lot of things that are in my control. There's a lot of things that are not. And accepting those things, well, that's helped me with my serenity quite a bit. And then easy does it. So my friends, today, I think that's something I really want to apply. Easy does it. One step at a time. I had a math teacher when I was a teenager, and I always struggled with math. That was a subject I always struggled with. And she knew this, and she knew that sometimes my brain would shut down. I'd see a huge algebra equation, and my brain would just be like, what? There's no way I can answer that. She would get an index card, and she would cover most of it up. And she'd go, okay, let's answer this part first. All right, I could do that. So I would answer that. Then she moved the index card over. All right, now this part. And then this part. And one step at a time, I was able to solve the math problem. And it didn't seem so intimidating anymore. So, easy does it. One step at a time. And I know that that's a cliche, but it's a cliche because it's good. When I keep it simple like that, once again, my serenity is much more palpable. When I'm thinking of 30 different things at the same time, not so much. So anyways, guys, I hope you all have a great day. It is an honor, thrill, and joy to be here with you. As I always say, or I need to say it in every episode, I don't speak on behalf of AA or any other sect or denomination or anything like that. I am just a guy grateful recovering alcoholic that loves these 2 books. And I'm so grateful that you're here with me. Hope you all have a great day today, and I'm looking forward to seeing you back here tomorrow.